Welcome to another episode here at Nothing for Granted. Today, we are going to be discussing 3 reasons why it's the perfect timing for you to transition into contract grant writing, whether it's grant writing, grant research, grants management, whatever area of grant writing you want to specialize in. Today, we're going to be hashing out why it is not an oversaturated market, and it's actually the perfect time for you to make the leap and start your own freelance grant writing business. Let's go ahead and get into this episode. Welcome to Nothing for Granted, a space for aspiring grant writers who are tired of feeling undervalued, underpaid, and overworked by your understaffed nonprofit. Hi, my name is Eliana, grant writer, grants consultant, and freelance coach for Christian entrepreneurs. I live for long distance cycling rides, iced chai lattes, and outdoor adventures with my 4 little beasts. I teach you grant writing strategies and freelance tactics that set you apart when launching and scaling your Holy Spirit-led business. I too was paralyzed by those questions. So paralyzed, in fact, that I launched my business twice, thinking maybe I should take another training because, underqualification. Well, 5 certifications on my wall later. But what if I told you that with a little basic knowledge and next to no experience, you too could launch a successful and sustainable freelance grant consulting business while pursuing that degree, raising littles, and maybe getting a tan on the beach? Permission granted to stop feeling guilty over leaving behind that organization that has you stagnant and to confidently and boldly step into the most elevated version of who you were created to be. You're here for encouragement, accountability, and a slight tough love kick in the butt. No goals, just standards. Lace up your combat boots, tighten up that ponytail. Girl, it's time to get to work. So really quickly, before we get started, a few housekeeping things. I just wanted to share with you, in the case that you didn't already know, I do have a freebie on my website. This is especially resourceful for those of you that are offering consultations to startup organizations or maybe organizations that are in default and are starting over, which is very common, especially, post or during pandemic times. This freebie is what I like to call a grant readiness assessment, a checklist. It's just all of the documents and paperwork that a nonprofit or a small business, if you're working with fiscal partnerships, should have in place before beginning their pursuit of grants. Go ahead and grab your freebie at www.buffaloambitionco.com. I hope it blesses you. It's there if you need it. And let's go ahead and get started into today's episode, all about the non-oversaturated market. So I have heard in the past, and most recently someone approached me and said, I just don't know if right now is really the best time for me to launch my contract grant writing business. It just seems like there's already so many tenured grant writers out there that are doing exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so a lot of people can say that, right? Gymnasts can say that. There's healthcare professionals that can say that, right? There are coaches, life coaches that can say that. How many life coaches don't you know? How many just health and fitness coaches don't you know, all over the internet, all over in real life? And I can bet money that no 2 of them do exactly the same thing. There's tweaks to their methodology. There are changes in the way that they deliver information, the way that they market themselves, the way that their branding is, right? The way that even the hours that they may work. So no 2 businesses, regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of how quote unquote oversaturated it may seem, are exactly identical. The pandemic has provided many unique opportunities for grant writers who are ready to transition out of their direct employee to employer partnership, a professional relationship with their organizations into a business to business relationship as a freelancer. Grant writers are in high demand because pre-pandemic, most small businesses and nonprofit organizations didn't even know about the opportunity to secure funds that they did not have to pay back. For a lot of small businesses, even if they did know this, it was something that only nonprofit organizations had access to. And, it was very cliquey. It was very difficult to obtain. And so with the pandemic, it's like opening Pandora's box. And so now there is this high demand for grant writers. Now, one thing that I will say, just a little caveat here, is preferably people are looking for grant writers with integrity, with good work ethic, and a grant writer that actually delivers on what they promise. And this is why it's so important to you as a grant writer to take the time and properly educate your clients and potential clients. What do I mean by that? Take the time to let them know, what does the process actually look like? If this is your first time here, welcome. I like to say that grant writing is all about the long game. There's a ton of preparation that has to be done. There's a ton of education that has to be done in terms of what are the time frames and deadlines that we're looking at, and what sort of real-time preparation must we do in collaboration with our partners, with our internal team, before we even begin our application, okay? So this is the long game, and it's really important for you to educate your client on what that process looks like. That way, there's no disconnect in communication, there's no disconnect in expectations. Everyone knows exactly what they're getting into and what they're going to have delivered. Okay, so why should you transition into freelance grant writing right now? Well, if you're a grant writer that's already working for a nonprofit organization, the chances are the organization that you're working with, it's understaffed, you're overworked. The chances are you receive one raise per year, and it's probably not anything that super excites you. If you're looking for a lot more freedom, you want to be able to work from home, you want to be able to work while on vacation or not, if that's what you want. You want to choose the clients that you work with and really just advance the causes that are most important to you, then this is the career for you. Okay, I want to encourage you to jump into freelance grant writing because, one, as much as you want to try and psych yourself out, no one does what you do, how you do it. You are completely unique, and that really is your superpower. Number two is there's room in this for everyone. I believe in collaboration over competition. I do believe that there is space for everyone because no one person can cater to everyone, right, guys? If you're talking to the masses, you're talking to no one. You have to know exactly who it is you're working with. Go back and take a listen to my Dream Client series. That way you know exactly what your niche is, who it is that you are attracting as clients. And so it allows you to just take some of that burden off because you know that there's room for everyone, that there are specific clients for you, set aside for you, that you are going to help and transform and just scale the impact on their behalf, right? So there's so much greatness that can happen when you are very specific to who you're speaking to. There's room in this industry for everyone. Reason number 3 is this is your purpose work. You know this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is the skill that has been deposited in you. And if that is the case, then it is 100% your responsibility to use your skills to advance the kingdom. Point blank, period. These are tools that we have been given, and it is your responsibility to develop that. And so it's not fair to just say, well, I'm just going to sit here and keep this skill and this knowledge to myself when you are capable of so much more. If you're feeling that tug into going the entrepreneurial route and you know, I have an entire episode on how you know that it's time to start transitioning out of your W-2 job. One of them is just you've hit the ceiling for growth. Your job no longer excites you. There's really just nothing there that makes you feel challenged. These are just some of the identifiers that I have used in the past, and usually I'm spot on. Usually it's time for me to transition into something that does challenge me and does excite me, and it is going to push me to that next level. And so if you're feeling that pull, I would love to talk to you and strategize on how you can make that transition in a way that makes sense for you and launch your business in a way that is unique to who you are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our episode for today. If you are not yet convinced, then I encourage you to do your research. Grant writers are in such high demand. You will see them all over internet job boards. You will see them all over just in conversation with people, right? Networking events. So definitely consider taking the jump. If you have listened to the end of this episode, then you're probably already feeling the tug. Go ahead and contact me if you are at Buffalo Ambition Co. on Instagram or at www.buffaloambitionco.com. You can reach out to me on my website. Visionary, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode, and I will see you on Friday with a super special guest. Bye.